Welcome to EPG Padasala. I am Professor Rajavelu, Department of Maritime History and Marine Archaeology, Tamil University, Tanjavur. The paper is Indian Epigraphy. The model is Epigraphical Studies, Contribution of Scholars and its Development. Think about our history. History actually starts from on the basis of written records. Generally speaking, the foreign scholars thought that Indians doesn't know history, but that is not correct. India is vast history, and our ancestors has written everything on the records, on the stones, on the metal, on the palm leaves, and some other written items. So, epigraphy is must for writing. Is a main source material for our history. So today we are going to say something on epigraphical studies, contribution of scholars and its development. The objectives of to know the history of epigraphy in India, to understand the development of epigraphical research in India, to know the contribution of European and Indian scholars for the development of epigraphical studies in India. The term epigraphy is derived from the Greek word, two word, that is epi plus graphic. It means, epi means on or upon, and graphic denotes it right. Hence, the word epigraphy gives the meaning any writing on any material. The word inscription is a Latin word derived from inscriber, which means to write on or upon. That's why we are calling it as inscription. Both words epigraphy and inscription are synonyms to each other. Simply say, it can be otherwise called as a study of inscriptions or old inscriptions. Any writings or engravings cut upon stone, metal, conch, shell, bricks, pottery, wood or any other permanent materials which forms the subject matter of epigraphy. Epigraphy concerns with inscriptions and paleography. Paleography is the development of script. In India, the study of epigraphy is considered to be the part of archaeology. The Archaeological Survey of India having a separate wing on epigraphy. Engraving is the chief characteristic of an epigraph. However, the old writings were written in ink or palm leaves, boulders and caves. Beginning of epigraphical studies in India. There is a difference of opinion how, when and where the epigraphical studies started in India. There is a difference between manuscript and an epigraph. Manuscript is a copy of the original, but the inscription is the original itself. When you are engraving on a stone, it is a permanent media, but it is not like manuscript. Manuscript, one can add something whatever he thinks. However, we do come across the later copies of the early inscriptions on the surface of the walls of the temples or slabs. In Tamil Nadu, this kind of re-engraving of old inscriptions are referred to in the renovated temples. It is referred to as Idu Oru Palangarpadi. It is a old record of new one. While the old temple got renovated, generally the renovator recorded the inscriptions to the new temple. Whatever he recorded in the old inscriptions, old temples, again he re-engraved in the new inscription, in new temples. That is known as Idu Oru Palangarpadi. In the states of Karnataka and Andhra, the practice of copying the old records were in vogue. Some of the copperplate records are fine example of this kind. Many copperplate records are old and again it was re-engraved once again. India is rich in inscriptions. Nearly 1 lakh inscriptions so far discovered in India. The Archaeological Survey of India Epigraph branch recorded all the inscriptions and preserved in their office for source purpose. South Indian inscriptions are comparatively higher in quality. quantity than other parts of North India. In South India alone, all the regional languages, Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, Kannada, is higher than the North Indian languages. Among the 1 lakh inscription, nearly 60% of inscriptions belong to South India. The study of inscription was, practically speaking, began in the late 18th century after the arrival of Europeans. However, there are references that Indians knew the art of writing, art of reading the inscription and preserve them as the property documents because they wanted to keep the property, so they have preserved them. The Velvikudi copper plate in Tamil Nadu of Pandya period records an event when the Pandya king asked the petitioner to show the old record which was issued by his ancestors. The petitioner immediately showed the old record. பழமையாதல் காட்டி நின்று. He showed the old record and recovered the donations again to the late king. It was issued 500 years back before the king. Indian epigraphy in medieval period. The historical literature Kalkana's Rajatarangini considered to be the earliest historical source material, that is historical literature in India, everybody thought. But that is not correct. Inscriptions are the basic source material for writing the history. So, Kalkana's Rajatarangini is also recorded some wrong notations. It says the Asoka date belongs to 600 BC. That is not correct. He came to power around 300 BC. Then the Kalkana's Rajatarangini had some wrong historical notations. Firoz Shah Tughlaq, the Sultan of Delhi, who ruled from 1351 to 1388, having curiosity to know the contents of the inscriptions, which he noticed several places in India. You know, Firoz Shah Tughlaq ruled over Delhi. He has having the curiosity. He wanted to read all the Asokan inscriptions. He is having curiosity. He brought all the Asokan edicts to his native, that is his capital city. So he brought 2 Asokan edicts, one from Meerut and another from Gurjara and another one from Dobra. So now you can see the 2 pillars in his capital city capital city and in his fort. So the Delhi, it is known as Delhi Meerut Asokan edicts and Delhi Dobra Asokan edicts. He asked the Pandits to read over the inscriptions. Whether they have read or not, we do not know. But the curiosity of reading the inscriptions is known around 13th century itself. In the far south, the Pallavas and the early Cholas re-engraved many early inscriptions of dilapidated temples on the walls of newly renovated temples. The contribution of Sembian Mahadevi, the Chola queen, and the Rajaraja I are noteworthy to mention. Sembian Mahadevi is a wife of a Chola king, Kandraditya. She is converted all the brick temple into stone media. So when seeing the inscriptions aloof on a loose stone, immediately he ordered the sculptor to re-engrave all the old inscriptions in the newly renovated stone temple. This is the Delhi Meerut pillar and Delhi Dobra pillar brought by Firoz Shah Tughlaq, and he ordered the Pandits to read the inscriptions what it was. So what he has taken, that was Asokan edicts. The Asokan edicts generally having 4 scripts. One is known as Brahmi, another one is known as Kharosthi, another one is known as Aramaic, another one is known as Greek. So he used 4 scripts in the region. Brahmi is the most prominent script in India, all over India. Up to Maski, Asokan inscriptions, we have the Brahmi script. Then Kharosthi is in the northwestern part of India, that is present Pakistan and Afghanistan. The Sabaskarki version is the Kharoshthi script. Then Aramaic and Greek he used in Palestine area. The language he used known as that is Prakriti or Greek. The Prakriti is particularly known as the Magadha dialect. Greek and Aramaic also he used in his edicts. The contribution of Europeans is immense. They have contributed many things to Indian epigraphy and its development. After the advent of Europeans, many administrative officials were having curiosity to know the native languages in order to control the country. And they were the officers to look after the subjects. So they having curiosity to know the Indian languages, their customs and manners to rule over India. Charles Wilkins, the pioneer Indologist, initiated the first publication of an old inscriptions in Sanskrit, published in 1781. The same was later on translated into English, published by Asiatic researchers in 1788 by him. His articles entitled An Inscription on a Pillar near Badal is also appeared in the Asiatic Researchers Journal. Wilkins also contributed the cave inscription, which is considered to be the important source material in the history of early Maurya king Anandavarman. In the early stage, the most of the articles related to epigraphy were mere translations without any text or introductory matters. Wilkins attempted all the inscriptions accurately, but he wrongly fixed the chronology of the inscriptions. For instance, he fixed the data or Mungir inscription to 23 BC on the basis of Vikram era, which was fall on 58 BC. That is not correct. So in the reading also they did some mistakes. The corresponding date is recorded in the inscription as somewhat 33. It is also true that Charles Wilkins tried to decipher the late Brahmi inscriptions earlier than to James Prinsep. He was a master in late Brahmi and Siddhamatrika script of 6th century CE. Charles Wilkins was the first scholar who translated Bhagavad Gita into English. Previously, it was in Sanskrit. Then the next person is Sir William Jones. Sir William Jones was another renowned Indologist who made significant contribution to the study of Indian epigraphy. He was an Anglo-Welsh philologist, started his career as judge on the Supreme Court of Judicature at Fort William in Bengal. As a scholar in Indo-European languages, he only founded the Asiatic Society of Bengal in the year 1784. He knew the 13 languages in India, mostly another 28 languages up to the end of his life. He learned all the Indo-European languages as well as Asian languages. He commended the works of Charles Wilkins, published in Asiatic Researchers. He criticized some of the mistakes of Charles Wilkins as remarks on the two proceedings papers by the president. He founded the Asiatic Society in Calcutta on 15 January 1784. Asiatic Society in Calcutta did a tremendous job to read the inscriptions as well as all literature and the many publications of art and architecture of India. Jones studied Vedas with a Sanskrit teacher, Romalachana. He was keen interest to learn Hindu astronomy. He was very much interested to know Hindu astronomy. As a genius in many languages, he produced many works on social science, local laws, music, literature, botany, and geography, and translated many Indian ancient literature into English. He propounded that Sanskrit, Greek, and Latin languages had a common root and they had related to each other. He commented that Sanskrit language has a wonderful structure, more perfect than the Greek and Latin. Since he knew all the languages, he thought that Sanskrit was the topmost and very chastity one to learn. In the early publications of Asiatic Society of Bengal, Jones encouraged inscriptional studies and researches. The next scholar is Henry T. Coolbrooke. Henry Thomas Coolbrooke was an English Orientalist and mathematician. He has been described as the first great Sanskrit scholar in Europe. He published epigraphic paper in the Asiatic Researchers on the title Translation of one of the inscriptions on the pillar at Delhi that was brought by our Firoz Shah Tughlaq, and he tried to decipher that Ashokan pillar brought by the Tughlaq. He called the Let of Firoz Shah, in which he translated the inscription of the Shamana king Vikrahapala. The most interesting aspects in this article is that Coolbrooke has correctly identified the date of the inscription as Vikram era 1220, that is equal to 1164 CE, which the earlier scholar Radhachanda wrongly identified as 123. In this article, Coolbrooke published the facsimile of the text as well as correct transliteration of the inscription. The editing method initiated by Coolbrooke then followed by the successors while dealing with the epigraphical researchers. The methodology of Coolbrooke became the permanent pattern in the study of epigraphy. Coolbrooke also tried to attempt the decipherment of Ashokan inscription, which is found on the same pillar at Delhi. He published the facsimile of the inscriptions, which was later on used by the epigraphists for decipherment. In the Asiatic Researchers, Volume 9, he contributed an article entitled On Ancient Monuments containing Sanskrit inscriptions, containing 9 inscriptions mostly on copper plates. They are published in Devanagari and English translations. In the introduction part of this article, Coolbrooke remarked the importance of the epigraphical studies for writing the history of Indo-India. Coolbrooke emphasized the importance of the inscription as a source material for writing the political and cultural and social history of India. Epigraphy and South India. We have seen the contributions in North India. Now we are going to see the South Indian epigraphy. In South India, the contribution of Colonel Mackenzie is noteworthy. He collected numerous inscriptions on stones and copper plates between 1783 and 1821 from various parts of the old Madras Presidency. Dravidian languages such as Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, and Malayalam records have been systematically collected by him. He traveled widely to entire South India and collected quite a number of coins as well as palm leaves and recorded them systematically. Walter Elliot, another noted Indologist, collected large number of coins, inscriptions in South India. He published all the South Indian coins in his book. It is available in Government Museum of Madras. Walter Elliot has written Karnataka Desa inscription is a landmark publications which are preserved in the University of Edinburgh as well as Royal Asiatic Society, London. His statue is also very much available at Mylapore at Chennai. So his contributions is immense to South Indian epigraphy as well as numismatics. He collected large number of copper plates in South India, which were later on presented to British Museum. Contribution of Alexander Cunningham is also very important. He was the first Director General of Archaeology. He was appointed by the British government in the year 1860 and he contributed both to archaeology as well as epigraphy. Under him, many epigraphists were worked and they collected large number of inscriptions and published in the Archaeological Survey of India publications. James Stott. James Stott collected many inscriptions in the Rajasthan state between 1818 and 1823. With the collaboration of a Jain Yati Janasandra, he published all the inscriptions in Annals and Antiquities Volume 1 and 2. Other scholars. Articles related to epigraphic studies have been published in by scholars like W. Price, A. Stirling, E. Phil, R. Jenkins, and Ravenshaw and H.S. Wilson in Asiatic Researchers. Many articles appeared in Asiatic Researchers related to epigraphy as well as numismatics. Not much attention has been given for another 3 decades in this study. There was a gap during this period. In the middle of 1830, epigraphy is witnessed the glorified advancement in decipherment of many unknown ancient scripts which were employed in the inscription. Thanks to James Prinsep, he was a pioneer epigraphist and did tremendous work in epigraphical research. He successfully deciphered the early Brahmi script. Through him, many scholars attempted the Brahmi inscriptions later on. Stevenson and Christian Lesson. The significant contribution of J. Stevenson and Christian Lesson in the field of Indian epigraphy is worthy to note here. Stevenson deciphered the Brahmi inscriptions of Carle and Allahabad pillar inscription of Samudragupta. You know, Allahabad pillar inscriptions originally of Ashokan period. It has a Ashokan inscriptions. It was installed in Kanauj. Then it was brought to Allahabad fort by Feroz Shah Tughlaq. Feroz Shah Tughlaq wanted to decipher the Ashokan inscriptions. So he brought to the Allahabad. Then during the time of Gupta, the Samudragupta engraved another inscriptions. This is very famous inscription for Gupta dynasty. From the inscriptions of Samudragupta, we knew the history of Gupta well. Again, it has another inscription. It belongs to Jahangir period, as well as Feroz Shah Tughlaq also has written on this. Stevenson correctly identified many letters of Brahmi in these inscriptions. Christian Lesson was a pioneer to read the legends of Indo-Greek coins. Their identifications of Brahmi letters paved way to Prinsep, who successfully deciphered the Ashokan edicts later on. James Prinsep. James Prinsep is considered to be the father of Brahmi. He only deciphered the Brahmi script successfully. He came to India as assistant to the Asi master in the year 1819. He joined in Calcutta Mint and served until 1839. He was the founder of the Journal of the Asiatic Society of Bengal. While he served in the Mint at Calcutta, he had the opportunities to verify the old coins. He studied numismatics systematically and tried to decipher the Brahmi and Kharosthi. He studied coins too. He successfully read the Brahmi and Kharosthi legends on the coins. This is bilingual Indo-Greek coins deciphered by James Prinsep. We have Aubers, Kharosthi, and the reverse side we have the Greek legend. So on the basis of Greek letter, he read the Kharosthi letters and he successfully deciphered both Brahmi as well as Kharosthi script. Prinsep contributed articles on numismatics, chemistry and mineralogy in the journals of the Asiatic Society. He studied the variety of coins and interpreted the legends of Bactria, Kushan and series of Indian coins. He studied the Brahmi legends and the Gupta coins. He also took interest to study the Indian Panchmark coins, that is the earliest coins issued by Indian, and he thought they were issued by the native Indian kings. After becoming the editor of Asiatic Society's journal, Prinsep edited inscriptions and studied coins. Though many Sanskrit inscriptions have been studied and published already by scholars like Wilkins and Colebrook, sporadic attempts have been made on inscriptions of Ashokan and Gupta periods. James Prinsep studied Allahabad pillar inscription too. He identified the consonantal characters of Ashokan Brahmi with phonetic values, and 5 vowels were also been successfully identified except the vowel I sign. He drew them in the table columns and alphabetical chart. His major contribution was to read Ashokan inscriptions of Delhi, Allahabad, and Luria Nandangarh. Inscriptions bearing the themes of one and the same. He said that all the Ashokan inscriptions are the contents are one and the same. As the editor of the Journal of Asiatic Society, he published many articles related to coins and new inscriptions which were transmitted to him all over India between 1836-38. Initially, Prince assumed that the Devanampiya Piyadasi of the edicts was of Sri Lankan king. Since, except a few Ashokan edicts, we don't have Ashoka name on that. One or two inscriptions only mentioned about Ashoka, that is the Maski and Gajora inscription. We have Ashoka the name. All the except these two, all the Ashokan inscriptions we have Devanampiya the name. So he thought that Devanampiya was a Sinhalese king or Ceylonese king. He realized then the title was adorned by the Maurya king Ashoka on the basis of the Sri Lankan evidences. Princeps studies on the inscriptions were helped his followers to determine the chronology of many Indian rulers. His initiations of publishing corpus inscription integram was finally completed by Alexander Cunningham in 1877. That is, corpus of inscription integram is contains Ashokan edicts, and even afterwards it was continued by Alexander Cunningham. After the death of James Princeps, his brother Henry Tobe Princeps published books on numismatics of Afghanistan which were collected by him. James Princeps not only studied Indian inscriptions and coins but also concentrated on the early history of Afghanistan. This is the Brahmi script. We have all the vowel a, I, U, then a, o. This is the Ashokan Brahmi. Then we have all the consonants. We have nearly 33 consonants. The ka varga, cha varga, and ta varga, ta varga. Then the other letters are there. This is the characteristic script we have in the northwestern frontier of India in Ashokan inscriptions. Then it spread to the Gangetic Doab. Then John Faithful Fleet and Wools. J.F. Fleet was another noteworthy personality to promote the research of Indian epigraphy. He was appointed as the first epigraphist in India in the year 1883 for a term of 3 years. He concentrated on the publication of further series of CAE volumes. He published the inscriptions of early Gupta dynasty. James Burgess, another noteworthy epigraphist of that period, published Epigraphica Indica. He only started Epigraphica Indica in the year 1888. Initially, Epigraphica Indica is a supplement of CAE volumes. The publication process further advocated by Wools. He concentrated on South Indian languages. He was a German and well versed in all Sanskrit languages as well as all South Indian languages as well as Sanskrit. Besides, Louis Rice published Mysore inscriptions, and in the year 1886 he also published Epigraphica Karnataka. Under the editorship of Wools, the first volume of South Indian inscriptions appeared. A South Indian inscriptions volume became the counterpart of CAE volumes appearing for the languages of South India. The epigraphy wing. The epigraphy wing of archaeologists South India, the first epigraphist was Wools. B. Vengaya worked under him. Then the epigraphy wing, first they had a headquarters at Bangalore as well as Madras. They published lot of annual report on Indian epigraphy and the text published in South Indian inscriptions. Then the Madras office shifted to Udagamandalam. Then it was again shifted to Mysore. At present, the epigraphy wing, they are doing tremendous work in epigraphical research. Many notable epigraphists actively involved in the research till today in this office, such as H. Krishna Sastri, R.T. Banerjee, D.R. Bandarkar, N.P. Chakravarti, P.H. Chabra, Majumdar, Mirashi, Lakshmi Narayan Rao, D.C. Sarkar, Gai, K.G. Krishnan and K.V. Ramesh, they were the notable epigraphists in India. They published many researches on Indian epigraphy. Several publications of epigraphy Indica and South Indian inscriptions volumes have been come up during this period. There are nearly 44 epigraphical Indica volumes so far published, and essay volume nearly 34 to 35 volumes published by this branch. Again, the State Department of Archaeology as well as many individuals also doing research on Indian epigraphy. Arabic and Persian inscriptions. In India, we have Arabic and Persian inscriptions too. So there is a separate wing, Arabic and Persian epigraphists. They are looking after these languages at Nagpur. They are having epigraphists. They are conducting field survey and collecting materials and published Arabic and Persian inscriptions periodically. The concentrate on the publication of Arabic Persian inscriptions. In the year 1990, two branches have been started by the epigraph branch, one at Chennai and another at Lucknow, looking after Dravidian inscriptions as well as Sanskrit inscription. The Lucknow branch looking after Sanskrit inscription, the Chennai office looking after the southern states of South India, including Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka and Andhra. They are collecting all the inscriptions, they are discovering new inscriptions and publishing it in the annual report on Indian epigraphy as well as the published essay volumes also. Besides, there are separate wings for epigraphy, the students and the professors doing research on the epigraphy research. They are conducting survey, they are collecting material, they are discovering inscriptions and deciphering it. Again, the Epigraphical Society of India and the ICHR is also contributing to epigraphical studies in India. The state departments and individuals also doing the epigraphical research and they are collecting many new inscriptions and published periodically in the local journals. The contribution of Airavata Mahadevan is noteworthy. He collected all the Tamil Brahmi inscriptions in Tamil Nadu and he contributed a book on Tamil inscriptions up to 6th century CE. Again, Professor Karashima from Japan University, associated with Professor Y. Subrayulu, contributed many research articles on the using the epigraphy as a source material, and they contributed South Indian history, social history, economic history on the basis of inscriptional evidences. So far we have seen the contribution of Europeans and the study of inscriptions periodically, the history of inscriptions and how they preserved the inscriptions, the foreigners' contributions and the Indian contributions as well as the Archaeological Survey of India, Epigraph branch and universities. Thank you very much.